Hi, and welcome to Clappia. In this video, we'll learn how to use the URL input block available in Clappia. The URL input block is designed to collect and validate web addresses within your app, ensuring that users provide correctly formatted URLs. Let's see how to use this with the help of a simple example. In my dashboard, I will select this app. Now here I've started to create an app called Vendor Management, and I want to use the URL input block to capture the vendor website for each vendor. Let's see how to add this to this app. I'll go to the Design app where we can edit the application. You can see all the earlier fields. Now I'll click on Add Field and select the URL input block. This block can be configured on the right-hand panel. First, I'll give it a name. Let's say website URL. Next, we have description. The description appears at the bottom of the field. This is used to act as a helpful guide for the user, or you could leave it blank. For this example, I will give a description. Let's say, please enter the vendor's official website URL. Next comes the default value. In certain use cases, there might be a common website that users normally input, and you can give that as the default value, or you could leave this blank. For this example, I will leave it blank. Default values normally appear inside the field, which the users will be able to edit. I'll just click on Save and go to App Home. The URL input block has been added to the app. If I were to enter any random text and click on Submit, an error message will prompt me to correct it. Only once I input a valid URL, it is ready to be submitted. And this takes in multiple formats such as www or HTTPS or any other valid format. So for example, if I were just to input this URL over here, paste it, I do not get any error message. Now let's say you want to make this field a required field, which means that users necessarily need to fill in this field and then make a submission. For that, in the Design app, in the URL inputs right panel, there is an option called Required. If you enable this option and save it, you can see this field is now denoted with a red star mark. And if you were to go to App Home, and let's say I fill in some details in this app, but skip out the website URL and make a submission, it throws an error message. So I will have to fill in this field and then make a submission. Now let's say I don't want this URL input field to appear in the app unless the vendor type is selected as distributor. If any other selection is made, or if no selection is made, this field should not appear in this app. Such display conditions can be implemented. So again, going back to the Design app, and in the URL inputs right panel, go to the Advanced section. Here we have Display this field if. Use this to show or hide this field under specific conditions or your requirements. If you're familiar with spreadsheet logic and conditions, Clappia shares a similar library. And you can pull up field values by making use of the variable name which you can find at the top of every field in brackets. So like I mentioned, if the vendor type is selected as a distributor, then this field should appear. So to pull that field, I'll type in @vendor type, just select this, equals to distributor. You will get an additional option that says retain value if hidden. Normally, this is kept as enabled if you want the field's value to be retained even when the field is hidden based on certain conditions in the app. I'll save it and go to App Home to check it out. You can see that field is no longer visible in the app. If I were to select an option, let's say service provider, nothing happens. But if I select distributor, the URL input block appears in the app. Now let's say I make a submission. I'll fill in some random details. For the URL, I'll simply copy paste this URL for the sake of example and click on Submit. You can view all your submissions under the Submissions tab. Click on a submission and a right-hand panel will appear capturing all the details. You can restrict your users from accessing the Submissions tab if you wish. Now over here, you can see I am able to make edits in this field. If you want to restrict your users from doing so, you can go back to the Design app, and in the right panel, we have the option Allow value to be changed after initial submission. Disable this option, save it, and if I were to go back to the Submissions tab, click on a submission, and now you can see I'm unable to make any edits. Now this field will also work the same way in the Clappia mobile app. If you haven't downloaded it already, you can do so either on Play Store or App Store. And the moment you create your app, make edits or assign it to your users, it'll be live and ready to use instantly. So in this way, you can configure the URL input block. If you have any query on how to configure the URL input block or on any other feature in Clappia, feel free to reach out to us by clicking on Request Support. Thank you.